We started this program because we met a wonderful group of people who have a lot of treasure on the inside. And it seems like very few people realize that, even to the point of they themselves not being able to realize it. This picture is of Atienne Rainey. She is a lady who was just a friend of ours, another refugee who'd been here for about 7 years, I believe. And we met originally in her living room. She's a lady where everyone gathered because she's just such a loving person and such a giving person. People would gather at her home and all the ladies would come together and the children, and we just sit and talk, and the ladies would share their stories of what it was like when they were in the camps overseas and just their experiences. But they also shared their dreams and the things that were in them, their hopes, and we learned that many of them were very skilled, but they weren't able to use those skills here in the United States. So we saw the value in them, and we promised them that we would do what we could to help bring that out, and that's how the Refugee Resource Center was born. It was actually born in her living room. We just began to encourage them and say, you have value, you have so much treasure, and you can do so much better. We began to talk to them about becoming more educated and making sure that they learned English as a second language, and they become very proficient in that because it's so important to navigate the culture. What we began to do amongst ourselves, my partners and I here at the Resource Center, is talk about how we could help that to happen. And we started first with education. So we began a literacy program here for them. And we went through that for the first year, helping people to actually, it helped us to understand where they were in their academic learning, just what they could grasp. And we began to section people off and kind of point them in the direction that would best help them. Some people were just ready for a GED. Initially, that's all anybody had in mind, no matter what they had done before they came here. But we saw that there was a distinct group where a GED would be great for now, and we prepared them for that. Then there was another group that was ready for testing in other areas, like ready for Pima College, and then some that could go right into the U of A, some into jobs. So we began to do that. The lady who, this is the best story for us right now, is the lady who was the GED candidate. She has now, since leaving our program, obtained her citizenship. She's very excited about that. And she went on to join the Habitat for Humanity program, and she and her family are now working those hours toward building their own home. And she has a dream of opening her own kitchen, her own business. She said she wanted to do it out of her home, and I told her, well, you can't really do it that way and become as successful as we envision you will be. But we'll find you a kitchen. And we heard that the YMCA here, YWCA rather, the women's organization, had a kitchen built last year because they were training women in entrepreneurial skills, and then many women wanted to open a food business, and there was nowhere to cook because nobody really wanted to lend their kitchen for another business due to liability reasons. So the YWCA built a kitchen. So we're going to hook her up with them. And she's just ecstatic. But what we do here is we help people to get their documentation together to go to Pima College or to go to the U of A. And we have had some people to leave here and do that. Our thrust, or our focus, is to ensure that people will realize the best of their potential. We're taking people out of $10 an hour jobs. We had a lady who'd worked in a $10 an hour job for the last 8 years without one raise. That's unconscionable. When Randisi, our programs directors, began to work with her, she showed her how to go out and look for other jobs and post for other things, and we got that lady out of that position, and now she's making like $13 an hour, and that just happened about 6 months ago. Doing much better, raised her family's level of living, and it's just phenomenal just to see how she's changed from the inside out. She's now helping us in our sewing program as one of the translators, and she's just a different person. She's just a different person. It's amazing how that happens. Then we have others who we've helped to get their documentation together from wherever they're from, and if they don't have the documents, to fill in the gaps for their education so that they're now able to take tests and go on into training and enter college or enter a business like our Fundamentals of Engineering program. the first thing we saw was that they are geared toward GED, just GED. And they have so much more than that to offer. There's just too much. And what we saw happening was that they go for GED training, and if it's in another language, that language is Spanish. It doesn't work for people who are from another culture outside the United States and not Mexico. So they were getting left further and further behind. GED just didn't work for them, for most of them. They'd have to be here for a long while, really get a better command of the language, and then return to that. But we think that's a notable gap. People not really seeing them as college material, rather steering them into places where they're going to remain on the lower level of society and only be able to do those types of jobs. We're losing treasure in those people, just great treasure for the United States. They're not using what they have to offer. We ran into a doctor yesterday. He said he was a medical doctor in his country, but here he's working in a health services job, just turning people in beds at night. And he wants to be a doctor, and we're going to help him to realize that. What we're doing now is we are pairing people with organizations or individuals who will mentor them through it. I met a young lady at the Walmart on Saturday, and I just noticed she had a different name. So I asked her what the name meant, and she didn't really know. And I asked her where she was from, because I noticed the accent there. She looked very American, a young lady about 20 years old. And then she told me she was from an African nation. So I began to talk with her about the Refugee Resource Center and what we do. And I said, what are you doing? She says, I want to be an accountant. But she had just graduated from high school recently. She says, I want to go to Pima College, but I don't have the money. I said, oh, you need us. So today I made a call to a CPA that my husband knows, and I spoke with him about this. We want her to intern with someone, to work alongside, to shadow, and that's how we do it. We have people who will just mentor these people in a business till they get it. So he's going to look into some firms who might want to allow her in to shadow, and if he doesn't find someone, we're going to find someone for her, and we're going to help her to find that money. And she's going to be an accountant. She has a sewing machine ministry where people have donated sewing machines and just a room full of fabric. And what she does is she brings a program to you, to churches or whatever. She brought it to our ministry. I met her at another meeting and asked her to come be a part of it because it fits our model. And what she does is, we have a class on Tuesday nights, lasts a couple of hours. People come in, they take the same sewing machine every week. They get a bag of materials, their bobbins, their thread, their everything they need, certain pieces of material. They work on a project. And after about 50 hours of skills training, they will be given a project to see if they pass or fail. And if they pass, they will receive their sewing machine for their own. And then we're going to connect them with the textile business, who will give them projects if they want to do it. They'll just say, like, here's a bag. You make however many of them. We need 50 of them, $5 a piece or $10 a piece. You get, do you want it or not? But they'll learn to sew commercially. That's what it's geared to. And then we have an entrepreneurial skills class that we're teaching right now. This is our first session with it, so we're kind of working out the kinks with the few students we have now. But then the next semester, these students will go into that class so they can learn how to run their businesses.